Hi guys, this video is effectively the second of two parts. The last video I discussed the personal elements that I'm going to include in this vision board and also did a tutorial as to the affirmation tiles that I'm showing you at the moment. So if you haven't seen that, please head over there now because we won't be going over that in this video. Hi guys, it's Jennibellie. So I have done a little bit of research on vision boards for us because over here in the UK these aren't big things, you don't really hear about them. I know other countries have like motivational daytime television shows and all of that sort of stuff, but we don't seem to have that. I mean, I can't even think of a motivational speaker that's famous that we have. Paul McKenna maybe, but he's mainly a hypnotist. So what I found out is, number one, pretty obvious, but once we made it, it must be visible. The vision board must be in vision. Because there's no point making it and then sticking it in a room that are going to be used by visitors or something like that. It needs to be somewhere where you're going to clock it a couple of times a day. If it's over the dishes, over the sink when you're doing the dishes, if it's, I'm going to put mine in my bedroom. So I'll show you my bed, because then I can look at it when I wake up, I can look at it before I go to sleep, and it will help me to visualise. Number two is you put things on the board which invoke a feeling. So it's not just something that you want. You know, say you want a new house, don't just put on a picture of any new house. Put on a picture of a place that really invokes a feeling within you when you look at it, because that is going to give you the extra drive to try and achieve that goal. So an example will be, I'm going to put on there something that's going to motivate me to achieve my desired body image. But when I look through magazines and things to try and put some visualization down on the board, I don't want these catwalk thin models on there, because that isn't achievable and it isn't what I want either. None of these images that I'm looking at invoke a feeling in me. So I can't believe I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to put it on the board so you're going to see it anyway. But what I'm going to do is stick on a picture of me as was. This is 2008, so 3 years ago. No, 4. Oh my goodness. So 4 years ago. And I'm not ridiculously skinny. I still have a bit of a muffin top. I don't want to get like what I used to be as a teenager, because I don't expect that to happen, and I don't really want that to happen. I just want to get into more motivation to move my body around the way that I did a couple of years ago, hopefully without the stress and all of the stuff that made me thin at the same time. The 3 is, don't expect what you put on the board to come true exactly the way you imagine it, because life never works that way. But also what it means is, if you get the equivalent of something that you want, say it's the house thing again, so you get a flat instead, don't just leave the house on there, remove it, put something else down instead. On my vision board I am using long-term or ongoing things for my vision board, so I might not need to update it as often. You know, it is something that it might last me for years and years. But say then I do get my body back in shape the way I want it to be, then I might paint over that picture and put something else on there instead. Constantly reevaluate your own dreams and see what it is you want to put on there. You do not have to do the vision board as I'm doing it. It doesn't have to be about visualization of things. It can be just about playing with paints and paper and whatever you want on a board, creating a mood board. Let me show you my my visualization board, I guess, for my inspiration board, I guess, for my studio. So this is just a bunch of my projects. So it could just be a bunch of things, a bunch of images down on thing that you like and you'll think will give you inspiration. Right guys, I decided to put the board above my bed head so that I've got a larger space to play with, and I found this big sheet My dad gave me this sheet of cardboard. I think it came out of an appliance or something. But if you don't have one long sheet, you can use, and you still want to make a big vision board, you can just use a cardboard box and flatten it out, because what I'm going to do now is do 2 stages of hardening. So what I'm using for stage 1 is I'm putting down a very large cereal box. This is to give the board added strength, but mainly it's to protect the cardboard from the next layer. To adhere the cereal box, what I'm using is a double-sided permanent adhesive, and to ensure that there are no air bubbles between the 2 layers, I'm going to add PVA glue mixed half and half with Eileen's tacky glue. The reason why I'm adding the latter glue is to make the consistency a lot thicker, because if you add something that has a watery consistency to cardboard, it will buckle it. I get asked a lot about different adhesives with different materials, and to be honest, you just figure it out intuitively the more you use your materials. Now for the second layer, I'm just decoupaging on cut up newspaper on top of the cereal box. The wet glue that I'm using for this is a reverse mixture to the last one. It's half PVA glue mixed with half water, because you want it to be wet so that it really does absorb into the newspaper completely, and it also makes the mixture a lot more spreadable. Right guys, so I've left my board to dry overnight, and where I've taken the paper over the cereal box board on the edges has made it curl a little bit. If your board curls, all you need to do is turn it over once it's dry and then find a box or something that isn't too heavy but has good weight distribution. So something like a 12 by 12 box that isn't full to the brim of paper is quite good, because it distributes the weight quite well. So the reason why I haven't put the cereal box or the paper up to the edges is because I don't want the board to be this size. I want to resize and reshape it. And how I'm going to do that is using this cord that I found. And if you want to do the same thing that I'm about to do with this cord, but you don't have it, you can use string, or you can use paper just rolled up. This is representative of a new house, new studio for me. This is the thing that I chose for body, and on here I did this pastel drawing in my art journal a couple of nights ago. So I'm going to, I've photocopied her and I'm going to include this as well. And as per the last video with relationships, I'm not particularly fussed about a boyfriend, but what I am wanting to put on the board is connection. And again, there's no point me going through magazines to look for connection, because I know all of the couples that are in the adverts and things are fake. So there isn't an actual connection, a human bond between them. So what I'm going to use is this picture of my grandparents, who are the most connected people that I've ever met. I'm going to put these down on the board, but obviously what I'm going to do is then cover it over, paint it over, and that will just be for connection. But then I know that underneath it there is some actual love there. So now I'm going to start playing around with the layout, adding embellishments or paint or whatever it is I want to make this board my own. Right guys, so I've added the main elements to the board, and before I do anything else with it, what I want to do is put some rope on the back of the board. I was originally going to make it hang like this at the top, but I don't have enough room in that small space. So what I've done is I've just eyeballed, I haven't actually done correct measurements with this, but I've just eyeballed 2 holes that I'm going to punch out. I'm going to knot this rope, this leftover knitting yarn, and what I was originally going to do was make it come through the front, around the back, and then out this other side. And on these dangly edges I was going to add things to dangle. I don't think I'm going to do that now, I just think I'm going to knot it. And then once I've done this, what I will then do is continue filling up the board. Right guys, so now I've done that, I'm going to continue filling up this board with inspirational tiles. I don't know how I'm going to add them yet. and words that I've cut out of newspapers and things. I'm going to figure out what I want to do with this in a minute. I'm going to leave it there until I've decided if I want to add some danglies on there or not. And I'm just going to complete my board, and I'll show you how it turns out.